all set? Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:04. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. It's very, very exciting to see such a full house tonight, so thank you all so much for coming. So first, is there a motion to seal the executive session minutes from tonight?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. And we did not take any votes in executive session tonight. So our first item tonight is our showcase. So I'm going to call on Dr. Cummings to do some introductions.
Oh, it is such a pleasure to do this showcase tonight. So I'm so proud and happy to celebrate our Pierce School students and their accomplishments during National History Day. I had the pleasure of being one of the judges during National History Day, and I must say, I've never been so impressed at the level of quality of the projects that we had. They get better every year, and this year really took the top prize, and which is evident in the accolades that our students have gotten. So I'd like to introduce Ms. Johnson, Colleen Johnson, and who's going to say a little bit about the students who are here tonight, and about Ms. Rodriguez, who helped coordinate everything.
There we go. I didn't think it was working. We're very excited about this. It is such an accomplishment, for all these students. There's 7 of them who are making it to nationals, 2 of them who are alternates. It's just really incredible, and we're really proud of them at the Pierce School. It is a tribute to the students' hard work and effort that they really put into these projects. It is a very big project. I know some of you may know it personally. It is a very big project, and with the help of also our teachers, Mr. Holden is our 8th grade history, social studies teacher, as well as Ms. Rodriguez, who is new to us and has done a fantastic job working with our students, as well as library media specialist. We also just want to say some of the programming we were able to bring in this year with our new schedule. For example, our Junior Mariners course, our 8th graders were able to utilize that course with Ms. Rodriguez as the teacher to also help them through the project. So we had some extra supports in place. We have amazing students who really just went above and beyond. So I'd like to call up Ms. Rodriguez, who is going to kind of just go through a little bit, 2 brief slides about what NHG is for people who don't know, and then we will have the students come up and we have a sample of their websites, and they'll kind of just talk a little bit about what they did.
Thank you. Good evening. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about what NHD is and a little bit about the process that our students went through. So we started in January. Our students went and picked a topic that followed the theme. This year's theme was Turning Points in History. So they chose their theme and they worked on their research and their projects in social studies class with Mr. Holden, and then also in the Junior Mariners classes in the library. They could choose if they wanted to do a paper, a performance, a documentary, or a website. All of our students moving on to the national competition have all completed websites, so you'll get to see some of those this evening. We started with our school competition, so the top 2 students or top 2 groups from each of those classifications, each of those formats got to move on to the Rhode Island History Day, and then they competed against other schools throughout the state. So our students, not only are we sending 7 to Washington, D.C. to compete on the national level, we actually swept the entire website category. So between our group websites and our individual websites. So our students did a fantastic job, and I would like to invite them up here to talk to you a little bit about their projects. So we have our first group was our alternates, Colin Lancic and Atlas. If you guys would like to come up.
We'll actually ask that all of you can come up and kind of stand here. Okay? Yep. All of us can come on up, just so we're ready to go.
My name is Colin Lancic. I'm in 8th grade.
My name is Atlas Sigler. I'm in 8th grade.
We did our project on the German-made V-2 rocket, which was created during World War II as a last resort weapon to help Germany win the war. We have a thesis statement we would like to show you. It is, despite the escalation of global tension caused by the use of rocket propulsion in war, the multifaceted legacy of the V-2 rocket drove technological advancements and ignited space race and bolstered military security, thereby making the world both safer and more dangerous.
The V-2 rocket was the first functioning ICBM created by Werner von Braun during World War II. The V-2 rocket was a last resort weapon to help Germany win the war.
So, to create the V-2 rocket, the Nazis needed to use a lot of their captured Jews, which were put in the concentration camps, but they were also put in labor camps to build the V-2 rockets. Later in the war, after it was about finished, Soviet and Allied forces had captured some V-2 rockets and researched them to create their own. However, the United States had actually captured the creator of the V-2 rocket and signed a deal with him to work for NASA, which then he went on to create the Saturn V rocket boosters and the Saturn V launch vehicle, which was what we used to win the space race. That's about it.
Would it be okay, so the one question that I have for each group is just what made you decide to pick the topic? So would it be okay before they sit down if the committee has any questions about the particular project? Yes. So I'm going to have the same question for everyone. It's just, very informal, like what made you decide to pick your topic? So why did you guys pick this topic?
So when we were scrolling, we were just thinking of what we could do for the project. We had really no idea because we just couldn't think of a good topic. But then our social studies teacher actually mentioned the V-2 rocket, and I knew I've heard of it somewhere online, and I did some more research in it at the time, and I just realized that it was a very, very important part in history. And that's it.
Thank you. Does anyone else from the school committee have a question before we move on to the next group? All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, Olivia Furia, Reagan Farrell, and Mina Yelson will be next.
Hi, my name is Mina Yelson.
And my name is Reagan Farrell. We're in 8th grade, and we chose to do a junior group website as our topic.
The Manhattan Project was a pivotal turning point in history, as it marked the beginning of a nuclear age, and it showcased the immense power of science.
On top of that, it was also very controversial. Some people thought it was a perfect way to end World War II, while others thought it was a too significant use of power and force, and there could have been better ways to deal with the situation.
Although there were positive benefits of this event, there were also many negative impacts, such as conflicts and tensions that arose, that are even going on to this day.
On top of the negative impacts, there were also many, many dire health effects. A lot of older people who were in the bomb actually faced these. They had burned skin, glass growing out of their skin, and they even lost some of their sight.
We aim to shed light on the experiences of the survivors and the impact of the bomb and the significance that it had to the global power equation.
We were actually able to utilize a source that was primary about survivors of the bomb. It was very, very easy to help develop our firsthand experiences and how we could actually look at the bomb, and we were able to put ourselves in the bomb survivors' shoes and make it feel like we were actually there.
As a result, the aftermath of our research on the Manhattan Project, we hope to gain a further understanding of the consequences that can occur during scientific processes, and we hope that as a nation we can make significant decisions.
That wraps it up. If you guys have any questions, feel free.
That is wonderful. I am so impressed how succinct and clear all the groups are so far. So just the same question, what made you decide to pick this particular topic?
We chose this topic because there was a really popular movie like Oppenheimer, and a lot of people were like, they really liked it. And so we were actually going to do a different topic at first. We were going to do Pearl Harbor, but some group actually took that before. So we looked later on the timeline and we found that, and we thought it would be perfect.
We thought this would also be a perfect event since, as she said, there was a lot of significant events surrounding this particular topic.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the school committee?
Did you all see Oppenheimer, the movie?
We saw the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer, okay.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, I'd like to invite Owen Seeger and Wesley Swallow.
Hello, I am Owen Seeger.
And I am Wesley Swallow.
We are in the 8th grade, and we did a project about UN Resolution 181. It is called Mapping the Mandate, UN Resolution 181 and its Ramifications. It's about how UN Resolution 181 affected Israelis and Palestinians. It covers a variety of time periods up to today and the ongoing war in Gaza.
Specifically, we claim in our thesis that UN Resolution 181 was a turning point in history because it voiced global support for Zionism, returned the Jewish people to their homeland in Israel, and created the ongoing Arab-Israeli conflict.
If anyone doesn't know, Zionism is the idea that the Jewish people should return to their homeland in Israel.
We made sure to include a variety of perspectives on the resolution with one interview from each side of the conflict, one Israeli, Elahai Skatal, and one Palestinian, Mohammed Alawad.
And special thanks to my mother for organizing the interviews with her contacts.
It is most important that although we definitely want to spread awareness about our topic, especially considering that it is not a very well-known topic, we also aren't taking sides about who is right and who is wrong.
We just want the conflict to stop. We want this horrible war to stop, and we want the hostages in Gaza right now to come home. That is about it. Just any further questions about our...
Yeah, thank you. So same question, what made you decide to choose this topic?
Well, we chose, specifically it was October 7th. I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of that. It was, I believe, Hamas. They attacked a Israeli concert and started the ongoing war in Gaza. And we thought about that, thought about what in the past could have led to that, and it led us to this resolution. So our project is all about how this resolution has impacts all the way today in history. Anything else?
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the committee?
I just have to say, like, I'm following along. I'm, like, clicking on the links to each of your websites as you're presenting, checking them out. Just really impressed by just everyone's websites that you guys have all put together. The photographs, this one in particular, the story, the messaging behind it, the reasoning behind choosing this project and the awareness that you're building. I'm, just really impressed with the story and the perspective that you're sharing through your point of view in here.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to say it's a very current topic, as we know, but in yesterday's Wall Street Journal, they actually reprinted Resolution 181 on a full page.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Oh, my other question, have you ever been to the UN, done any touring, anything?
No.
Well, I highly recommend checking it out at some point.
I'll take that into account.
Thank you very much.
All right, would like to invite Ava Francis.
Hi, my name is Ava Francis and I'm in the 8th grade. I'm at this website about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. This happened in New York City, March 25th, 1911. I thought that this was really important, and a lot of the employees who were part of the fire did die because of the lack of safety precautions in the factory. This raised a lot of awareness in the society, and people began to realize the conditions that workers had to endure on a day-to-day basis. This led to a lot of minimum wage and safety laws being created to prevent any other happening again. I chose this topic because I thought that it was really interesting, and after doing a lot of research, I realized the impact that it had on the nation, and I wanted to take this opportunity to learn more about it and kind of display the impact that it had.
Thank you very much. And I had never heard of this particular incident myself. So do any school committee members have any questions or comments?
Did they know the source of the fire, what started it?
It is believed that it was a discarded cigarette from one of the workers as they were leaving. They just dropped it and didn't realize that it was still partially lit.
And were there children involved in some of the victims with the child labor?
Yeah, there were a lot of child labor in the factory, which is some of the stuff that came after in restricting child labor from happening.
What were some of you said they helped change a lot of the rules afterwards. What were some of the rules that got changed?
Well, one thing that came from it that I thought was really important was OSHA, which is still intact today, and it makes sure that workers are in a safe environment and they don't have to endure any of the conditions that factory workers originally did.
And a special note that, this project, and Ava won a special award for the Rhode Island Labor History Award. And so she got special recognition at the Rhode Island History Day. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
And great job answering our very specific questions. So thank you. Great job with that on the spot. Nice job.
Awesome. And I would also like to ask Alexandra Swizz.
My name is Alexandra Swizz, and I'm in 8th grade. I chose to make a website about the founding of NASA. The founding of NASA was an important turning point in history because it helped the United States maintain its position as a world power, because it helped the United States defeat the Soviet Union in the space race and in the Cold War. And also, NASA led to many important technological advancements being made.
Thank you. So what made you decide to choose this topic?
I chose this topic because I thought it was an important event in history, and I'm also interested in science and space-related topics, so I chose the space race as my broad topic, and then I narrowed it down to the founding of NASA because I thought it was a turning point in history.
Thank you. Any questions from the school committee or comments?
I just want to say, I think all the projects have been wonderful, but I did have the honor of being a judge of yours, and it was one of the best I'd ever done over the years. Excellent project.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, I have to say, in the short period of time that I've even glanced at this website, it's really, really informative, really colorful. It's very well written, and, the ability to embed videos and photographs and in an effective way that you've done is really impressive. So, job well done. And that's a really high remark that that Diane just gave you. So.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes our student presentations.
So we do have certificates for each of our students, and so what I would suggest is that we take a short break. We can have everyone come up, take some pictures, give you your certificates.
Just let me do a couple comments, and then absolutely we'll do that. So just my comment to all the students that came tonight. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time to come. We really appreciate that. We have links to your videos, to your websites that we've been able to see, but taking the time out of your very busy schedules means a lot to us for you coming and presenting, so thank you. And also, I'm very impressed by how succinct everyone was, how clear, how articulate, how I'm sure Ms. Johnson gave you directions like, you got 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you need to explain your project, stick to that timeline. You did a great job. This is very hard to do in a public forum like this with a very full audience at a very young age. You did a great job, so I'm super impressed, and we really appreciate you taking the time to come tonight.
Yeah, I just want to add, back when I was a student, we never had this opportunity. We did other projects, but nothing like this, and it's just really amazing project that you've all been working on and the topics that you all put together. Every website that, I've looked at and I'm going to continue looking at later were very colorful, very well written. The photos really helped to capture that story. And each one of your presentations was very succinct and very well articulated, better articulating than I'm doing right now. And, you should all just be very proud of yourselves and your accomplishments. And I wish you all the best when you go to, is it Washington? In Washington in June, I believe. So, again, job well done to all of you, and I wish you the best of luck.
All right, so Ms. Lauren, would you be able to direct the kids how you want them to stand so we can give them their certificates and do a little photo op? Because I know you want to get a nice picture for our website if the kids are willing, and then if any family members. So at this time, we are going to take a brief recess so we can do some pictures, and then the kids can get on their way to go home and do their work. Are we ready to resume? Okay. So after our showcase, we are now ready to resume our meeting. And it's now time for open forum. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay, so hearing none, we're going to move on to oral reports. Is it okay with the school committee if we flip the order and have the student report first tonight?
Yes. No objections here.
Okay, Maya, you are up first with the student report.
Okay. So I just want to, this past 2 weeks have been like jam-packed with AP tests, a bunch every single day. And then we have proms in the running. Junior prom is May 3rd. Our prom, senior prom will be June 3rd. So it's just, everything's ramping up because we're at the end of the year. Senior week is approaching. It kicks off with our last day of school, which is May 31st. And then we have on June 2nd the athletic banquet, and then senior prom at the Dunes Club on June 3rd. And then June 5th, we have the day that we go and walk through all the schools in the morning. And then it ends with then we have our awards banquet that night, and then the next following day on June 6th is graduation at URI. So everything is just, everybody's running around, getting everything done. Today was decision day at school, so we got to wear our t-shirts to wear whatever our plans were for next year. So everyone was running around taking pictures. I don't know if anyone went to class, but that's okay. And then just, I would say the only like little bump in the road was that those of us that are taking AP Physics, our AP Physics exam is this Friday, but that is also the senior project presentation day. So those of us that are taking the AP Physics exam were offered 2 dates, a early date or a later date. The early date was last Friday, and the later date would be May 24th. But May 24th is the day of our AP Physics field trip. So none of us could present that day because we would be on a field trip. So then we were allowed to present last Friday, and it was very successful. To my knowledge, everyone passed. And it didn't feel very, we got ripped out of class to do it. And it was also the day that the AP art portfolio was due. So we were those of us doing both were a lot going on that day, but still, it was very rewarding at the end of the day when they handed us our goodie bag and said, congratulations for presenting, and you passed. So it was still, I would say that was the only chink in the armor, but it still went, like, very smoothly. That's all I have to say.
And are you willing to share what your plans are for next year with everyone, or would you prefer not to?
I'm going to go to URI next year. Yeah. Thank you.
So I want to start by saying a thank you to Maya. You are the inaugural, very first student liaison for the Narragansett School Committee, and we really appreciate your time, your commitment, and your feedback and your input. We really appreciate that. So it sounds like Maya will be back here next month,
yeah.
but this was your last official student report. So I do want to say thank you. I want to wish you well with your endeavors next year.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations on, it's a very, very, very busy time of year for the seniors. So big congratulations and a big thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, guys. It feels very rewarding that my position actually meant something, so.
Did you want to say something, Alex?
Well, I'll say my praises for Maya for next month, but my questions were just in general from her report, I guess for Pete, is when are the AP testing dates established? Like, are they at the beginning of the year? Was there any way that this could have possibly been avoided? I know there's like also always scheduling issues, but
There's always scheduling issues. The AP tests were a little bit pushed out this year, and it gets harder and harder as we actually offer more and more AP exams, right? And so we really, in previous years, we never really took up the full 2 weeks of AP exams because we didn't offer that many, and now we do, which is a good thing, but presents some logistical issues. This should not be as big an issue next year. We do graduate a little bit later next year, a little bit later into June, and part of the rationale for that was exactly this sort of conflict. And so when we set the calendar in February, those AP exam dates for the following year have not yet been released. We always have an approximate window. This year, it was an unfortunate conflict with the senior project presentation. So we are accommodating that kind of conflict for this year by our adjusted schedule for next year. So hopefully we won't have an issue with that going forward.
Okay, thank you. And I guess just one other follow-up. Or two actually. One, I know that there was a selection of students that already presented their senior projects. Was it just like one room with the same judges, and it was just like one right after the other, or was there like similar senior project days where there was
I think it
still a
was similar
selection?
to senior project day. There were, volunteers that were able to go, and I think we replicated the best we can. It is unfortunate. We love to celebrate our seniors, and senior project day really is a special day.
Yeah.
And so while they didn't get the full experience of that moment, certainly, and it is unfortunate they'll be grinding through AP Physics while everyone else is. Again, I think that we tried to celebrate them as much as we possibly could in that moment, and we get to celebrate them many more times over the next couple of weeks. So we will cheer extra loud for those students.
Excellent. And then actually just one curiosity question. Our awards banquet back when I was in school was at Quidnesset, and now I see Quonset. Is that just a new agreement, or?
Quidnesset, the date wasn't available.
Okay.
And over the last couple of years, as we make kind of adjustments to the program, we felt that the Quonset might be a little bit better fit this year, so we're giving it a try. New principal, I think he's going to try to streamline some pieces as we go forward. And Quonset is a beautiful place.
Of course.
And so we're looking forward to it. The basic structure will be similar to what we've done before. We have many, many generous donors who sponsor scholarships. So we want to recognize their contributions on our students' behalf. We also have a lot of academic awards that we want to give. So, it's a really nice night. I think there are some ways where we can streamline that night, not so that the focus is really on the students in all the right ways. And we thought that Quonset setting might help with that.
Excellent. Well, thank you, and thank you, Maya, and I'll have more to say next month.
Where's the AP Physics field trip? Where's that going to be?
Six Flags.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah,
physics.
They have to measure the velocity of the roller coasters.
Obviously.
I went when I was in AP Physics. Yeah, a long time ago.
All right, well, thank you very much, Maya. So we are on to school committee reports. Does anybody have a report to give? Alex?
Yes. Thank you. On May 4th, Diane and I attended the annual meeting of the Rhode Island Association of School Committees, and I'm sure if Diane wants to share some of the topics that maybe were discussed, or if you want to elaborate on that. And then on May 7th, Jen, Pete, and I joined many members within our community, our parents, teachers, principals, and students, to begin a workshop on the portrait of a graduate. And we were broken up into groups and brainstormed what we would like to see instilled on students upon graduating from the Narragansett schools. And the ideal portrait of a graduate has certainly changed from when I was in school, from when any of us were in school. So we were all broken up into tables with a variety of different members within our community, and we brainstormed a series of different qualities that we believed that students should have upon graduating from Narragansett. And then we put those notes up on a wall, and we went around with stickers, and we put dots next to common themes. And that's kind of where we left it off, to build off of what those common themes were and what direction we want to see the district headed over the next however many years. And I don't know if Jen or Pete, if you want anything else that you want to add to that.
I would just like to say that it was a really nice combination of community members, parents, students. I know at my table, I had a couple of high school teachers that I was not as familiar with because my kids haven't made it to high school yet, and one student, and it was really great to see that student really kind of leading the discussion and taking us into the perspective from the student. I think it was absolutely valuable, and I look forward to see, what happens with the Portrait of a Graduate. I think you guys are doing a really good job in the organization of that.
Yes, to echo, actually, I was really impressed, Pete, with how well you ran that workshop, the video content, the instruction from our assistant principal at the high school was just fantastic. To see the representation, the interest, the willingness for members within our community to share that valuable feedback. We too also had a student and a parent sitting at our table, and we're very active participants in the dialogue, and I think we're only as effective as the community's willingness to be transparent and be willing to participate in that dialogue with us when we're trying to make these decisions. So it was very much appreciated from everyone's participation.
Great. And the next steps on that, so I appreciate your all commentary on that. It is a really critical thing that we're doing as a district, is to really envision what we want our graduates to, knowledge, skills, and habits of mind that they have when they graduate and what we're focused upon. So we'll continue to do that work. Our next steps is to aggregate the information from that first meeting, which we're in the process of doing. We're working with our kind of in-house steering committee to do that. We're going to take that, cross-reference that with some of the research that is out there around what are the skills and traits that our students will need once they enter college and career in the workforce. Bring that back to the full group on May 30th, kind of start to narrow that down, and then we'll spend the summer fleshing those out a bit. We will try to finalize those when we get back to school in September, and it will come and be presented to the full school committee, we're hoping in October.
Great, thank you. Does any other school committee member have a report to give?
Oh, I'll just follow up on what Alex said, that we attended the Rhode Island Association of School Committees annual meeting at the Crown Plaza last Saturday, and we had welcoming remarks from the Commissioner of Education, Commissioner Infante Green, and she brought along some of her key staff members. We had a presentation on using RIDE's UCOA data to better understand our own districts and to be able to use it to compare and contrast with our district, with other districts. And the second presentation in the morning was one on the Rhode Island new high school graduation requirements. And it seemed that the emphasis behind redoing the graduation requirements came from two pieces of information that they had gotten from Survey Works, that although 8 out of 10 Rhode Island students say they want to go on to college, only 5 out of 10 have taken and passed the courses that are required for admission to those colleges. So that was one of the reasons. And the second reason was, in the latest Survey Works, only 24% of the students reported saying that there was a strong linkage between what they were being asked to do in class and their future plans. And so that was the emphasis for increasing real-world learning within the new education graduation requirements. And then in the afternoon, our former Congressman David Cicilline came with the Rhode Island Foundation, and we had an interactive discussion to help the Rhode Island Foundation determine how they want to focus their emphasis on education and where they should put their efforts. So it was a very interesting day, and we learned a lot.
Thank you. Any other members have any reports to give?
I'm thinking this might be an okay time just to add that both of my daughters called me from school today just to remind everybody that the art show at NES is tomorrow. And also just to put a plug in for beach blanket bidding, that tickets are still on sale, and it's our biggest fundraiser. I know there's been a lot of hard work from the PTO parents, so I'm just hoping that our community can show up and really enjoy that and kind of unite together that night to raise some money for our kids.
And is that Friday night of Memorial Day weekend at the Dunes Club?
It is.
Okay, and tickets are still available?
They are. You all have taken my whole report, so it's okay. Yeah, and I do want to just recognize Liz Turco and the steering committee there. They've done a wonderful job. They've met with principals. We're trying to support them in any way we can. I think we all recognize that can be a difficult weekend for people, but I know they are also, if people can't go, I know they're also accepting donations. And so even if you can't go in person, I know they would love to have your support for this effort. And so, again, I want to celebrate their great work. And, it's even harder to get this going again because we did miss a cycle during COVID. So they are really kind of restarting these efforts that, had a bit of a pause due to the pandemic. So, I'm so grateful for their support and so grateful for the support of all those who are participating in this effort.
So that's the official segue to the superintendent's report. So besides what we covered,
Right,
Pete,
you hit bitch-
superintendent's report, is there anything else that you want to highlight for us?
So art show, portrait of graduate, beach blanket bidding are all, key pieces. We really are in our push towards the end of the year. And so, I will just say one other thing, that I was at an institute of all the superintendents yesterday with the Annenberg Institute, really looking at staffing patterns and looking at kind of how districts are, filling their vacancies. And while we certainly have things to work on as a district in Narragansett, one of the things that, we can be really proud of is that we're hiring excellent teachers, and we continue to be able to fill even hard-to-fill vacancies. Sometimes it's not easy, but it does remain a desirable place for our teachers to come to. We have excellent faculty and staff here, and are really building a nice culture where people want to work, and that really came through, in this conference yesterday. So it was really great to hear.
All right, any questions for Pete?
The graduation isn't until after the June meeting, right? I'm just trying to figure out my calendar here.
Graduation is June 6th.
June
Very
6th,
early, yeah.
okay.
Okay, so
Thursday,
it's
June
before our
6th,
next
very
meeting,
early.
so that's senior week. So the senior banquet is June
Okay.
5th. Graduation is June 6th, 6 p.m. at URI.
Perfect. Before
Very
before
early.
the June
Yeah,
meeting.
very
Okay,
early.
so I'm
Before the
glad I
June
asked.
meeting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve consent agenda items CA1B, CA2A, CA2B, and CA2C?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. On to the budget report. Karen?
Good evening. Expenditures for the 10 months ended April 30th, 2024 total $25,815,216, and that's 71.2% of our budget. Expenditures and encumbrances for the same period totaled $32,585,025, and that is 89.87% of our budget.
Thank you. Any questions for Karen? All right, thank you. So we are on to school committee business. Item number 1. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and the director of finance administration to award the contract for interior renovations at all school buildings to Martone Service Company Incorporated in the amount of $1,053,003?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So, as you all know, Steve Gormley, our Director of Operations, is here to kind of talk through what the project is. And again, I will remind everyone that this is a part of our capital plan. And so we are bidding on things that are in our capital plan now so that we can hit the ground running once summer comes. All you, Steve.
Good evening. This is a renovation project, which include ADA upgrades to certain areas, bathroom renovations, a locker room renovation at the high school, which is past due by about 40 years. it's time. Additionally, some pre-K classroom work. Pre-K classrooms are going to be renovated, accessible sinks. One classroom is going to get a bathroom within the classroom. It's the only one that doesn't have a bathroom. And basic renovations that way. The renovations in the locker room will include a new flooring, ceiling, walls, bathroom petitions, shower petitions, which in the boys' room doesn't exist at this time. So that's what the project looked like. The project was a bigger scope when we put it to bid, but due to financial restraints, we've reduced it to the project that's in front of you.
And so for those of you who have been on the committee for a little bit, you know that we project out for 10 years, right? When we look at these are projects that we've been projecting out probably for the last 5, and are based on the former Jacobs report that went through every school and kind of identified areas in need. And so the ADA upgrades are required, and they're ones that we've been kind of waiting for the right time to do. You know, we've completed a couple of really big projects recently, so these are a series of smaller projects that need to be done across the schools.
Correct, and I'd like to introduce Patrick from Colliers. He's our OPM for this project, and Patrick helped tabulate and qualify the bidders on the project.
Great. Welcome, Patrick.
Yeah. I just had a question about the timeline. Do you anticipate all of this work to be completed this summer? Or will anything start before then or spill into the fall or long-term next year? So what's the project timeline for some of the renovations?
Beginning on June 18th and completion, with my fingers crossed, is 1 week prior to school start.
Do you anticipate any very long, lead times on some of the stuff that you need?
We've followed up on lead times as late as 2 weeks ago, and we're in the longest current lead time item, as I'm told, is 6 weeks. So if I get this moving in the next week, we'll be good.
And so what we're voting on tonight is aligned with that long-term capital plan? It fits in where it is expected?
It fits in where it's
budget-wise?
expected. We held some projects because of the auditorium project. Those are all getting done now. We're approaching the end of our ride approvals, which will be next year. So we're trying to get a substantial chunk of the work done this year, and then we'll have some work next year. But it's also the ride approvals, other reimbursables that we get.
So out of this amount, are any of these reimbursable? Some of them, a few of them, a lot of them?
All of them at this point.
Okay.
So if we eliminate the alternatives 1 and 4, will they just be kind of pushed out?
They'll be pushed into the next 5-year plan.
And I just had a question. I noticed that the company selected was not the lowest bidder, but the lowest bidder seemed to have very, very high labor costs, almost twice as high as the other companies. Was that the reason?
The low bidder also didn't meet the MBE, WB, minority and women in business. They didn't meet the minimum. And with the alternate changes, they would have been far below what they had put on the paperwork for what their MBE was. And we used a scoring system to score them from references, and there was a formula to it. And under the bid rules, and Patrick can explain this, it's the lowest qualified bidder. It's not lowest cost. You want to speak on?
Yeah, so just to provide a little bit more clarity here. Yes, so exactly what Steve said. It happened that Martone fell within this kind of perfect gap where we still have some contingency left for the job, but they're a low bidder and they're the highest qualified bidder within that budget range. Going with the next qualified bidder would have put us with almost no contingency. And so there's this little sweet spot for this particular bid, and there's language in the RFP that we put out that says that Narragansett can make a decision that is best for them, either based off qualification or price, and either exclusively. So this fell within the perfect range, and the decision, I think, was a solid one.
Well, this is so completely detailed, but I would like to suggest that on the next one that you send a magnifying glass with it.
Absolutely.
We have the large copy here.
Yeah, okay. No, that's okay. No, that's okay. Thank you, yes, that'd be nice.
Do any other school committee members have any questions or comments before we vote?
Can you speak just briefly to the financial restrictions that you were referring to?
The cost of construction in the last 3 to 4 years has been, no other word but obscene. The increase in the cost of construction is, most of the projects we're looking at are 40 to 50% increases.
I was interested in the timeline as well, because at our shop, we're still looking for an HVAC person to come in and give us a good enough quote. So we're pretty confident that HVAC will be ready and there'll be mechanical engineers to be able to complete that.
The design's already done, the HVAC is limited in this project.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the school committee? Okay, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On to item number 2. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the 2024 through 2027 contract for the transportation supervisor for the Narragansett School District effective July 1, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question. Because I wasn't in executive session, do I abstain? No, because I read through the packet, and, okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 3, is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the updated 2023 through 2026 contract for the Director of Curriculum of the Narragansett School District?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Item number 4, is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the 2024 through 2027 contract for the payroll and HR coordinator for the Narragansett School District effective July 1, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And the last item for tonight, is there a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the 2024 through 2027 contract for the data manager for the Narragansett School District effective July 1, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Are there any communications that anyone wants to mention? Okay. Our June meeting is pretty early. We will be back here June 12th at 7 o'clock, and we heard that graduation is June 6th, the Thursday before. So is there a motion to adjourn at 8 o'clock?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?